and welcome to Fursuting in the Time of Quarantine. I'm your host, Shetani. I am so glad to be here and able to contribute to Blue Ridge Furfare's programming. This is only their second year. They are such a great little up-and-coming con, and I'm so glad that I was able to help out and support them here. So before we get started, I would like to request that you please hold all questions until the end of the panel. We're on a very tight time constraint today, so I will not be looking at the chat while I'm presenting. At the end of the panel, there will be a Q&A segment where you can ask all of your questions and comments and observations, and I will answer those to the best of my ability. Also, barring any technical difficulties, there will be a recording of this panel available on my YouTube channel after the convention, the link of which should be up at the top of the screen there. That way you can go back and rewatch if there was anything that you missed, or if you want to show it to a friend who may not have been able to make it live to the broadcast today. So, let's start with a brief introduction. Hi, I'm Shetani. My pronouns are she, her. My fursona is a king cheetah. I have been an active part of the furry community since 2012, though I had been following along for many years prior. I've been a fursuiter for 6 years and counting by now, and it is one of my most favorite pastimes. Let's take a look at the situation at hand. As we all know, the furry community is a vast and diverse space, and there are so many different ways that we connect with the community as well as each other. Though not at all required to take part in the furry community, there is a small yet passionate minority of us who enjoy fursuiting. For those of us who do have fursuits, you'll know, of course, it's a very fun and creative pastime and a great way for us to express ourselves. We've invested a lot of time and effort into this. Either you paid somebody a great deal to make a fursuit just to your specifications, or you yourself invested all of that effort, learning, material cost, labor, and all of that into creating what are essentially these works of art. So it makes sense that fursuiting would be quite important to us. Our fursuits are characters that are very near and dear to us. It's something more than just cosplay. We're not dressing up as characters from a movie or a video game series that someone else has created. We ourselves have made these characters and grown very attached to them. And having the opportunity to embody them in the flesh, so to speak, is personally significant to us. Fursuiting is not just a performance. In our community, it's a social activity. We've come to rely on fursuits as an aid for socializing, networking, and having fun. Many furries have some level of social anxiety, and no matter which side of the costume you're on, fursuiting helps break the ice and embolden folks to maybe talk to somebody that they normally would not have the power to do so, or even go places that they've never been before. Naturally, conventions are where the bulk of these social gatherings take place. However, with the current state of the world, all in-person furry cons are on hold for the time being. The same goes for fur meets and the like, and with many places re-entering lockdown, people can't even go outside to public suit. This begs the question, what do I do with my fursuit when there are no in-person events and I can't go outside to meet up with my friends? Now, many of us can't go to conventions for whatever reason, be it finances, traveling, physical limitations, getting time off of work, or perhaps there just aren't any furry events in your area. I myself don't go to as many cons as some of the more prolific fursuiters and fandom personalities that you may see online. For this reason, I've gotten very good at finding ways to utilize my fursuit without having to rely on an external event. Back when the pandemic started last year, I noticed a lot of my fursuiter friends and peers on social media were super upset that they didn't know what to do with their fursuits without conventions. They were saying things like they felt so sad looking at their fursuit over there just sitting in a box, waiting to be worn again. And I thought to myself, well, what's stopping you from wearing your fursuit right now? It kind of threw me for a loop, to be completely honest, and I realized that was a niche I could help fill. So I decided, why not share these techniques and ideas with my fellow fursuiters to help make their quarantine experience a little more bearable. So without further ado, let's get right into it. One of the simplest and most accessible things that you can do with your fursuit at home is photo shoots. Now, a lot of people are daunted by this. They hear the term photo shoot and they think of something requiring a bunch of technical experience or expensive equipment. This couldn't be further from the truth. While having dedicated photography equipment is, of course, helpful, for a hobbyist or somebody just looking to have fun at home, it's by no means required. These days, pretty much everyone has a smartphone right there in their pocket. And because of this, phones are almost essential for modern life. Therefore, the standard smartphone can do a lot more than folks really give it credit for. Unless your phone is exceptionally old, it's likely that it has a pretty high quality camera. Definitely serviceable for taking fursuit photos. Now, every fursuit is built differently and has a different set of limitations, but some things are just more difficult to do in fursuit if you don't have a handler. A handler is a second person, not in fursuit, who helps a fursuiter out with doing certain tasks that the costume makes more difficult for them to accomplish. Unless, depending on your situation, whether there are people you're sheltering in place with, maybe you live alone, or perhaps your household members aren't willing to help you out with your fursuiting, you may find yourself having to manage alone. Worry not. There are tons of tools that you can use to assist with doing photo shoots entirely on your own. I personally am fortunate enough to live with my partner of several years who is also a furry, but, there are times when she's busy and she can't help out, or maybe I have a really specific vision in my head for how I want a photo shoot to go, and it's not something that another person can visualize. Over the years, I've picked up a bunch of tricks for managing fursuit photography entirely on oneself. The number one tool, which for me is a lifesaver, is voice activation. If you go into the settings on your phone's camera, there will be a toggle for this. I have an Android phone. It is called voice control. Depending on your phone, it might be called something slightly different. But this is a feature where you can say a command out loud, like smile or capture, and the phone will take a picture for you. I like to say cheese because it makes my eyes crinkle up, which is very helpful for the unique type of fursuit that I have. Voice control is great for hands-free photography. If your fursuit's got big, unwieldy paws that are hard for you to get on and off quickly, or like me, you have fursuit paws with attached arm sleeves and you can't take your paws out without taking your whole shirt off, you will find this extremely helpful. For voice activation, I think is rather underutilized for cell phone photography. A lot of people don't even know that their phone can do this. You can even use it to record video, not just pictures, though I'll get to that later on. For getting a full body shot or something staged, like a shot in front of a backdrop, you're going to want to place your camera on something instead of holding it. I recommend investing in a tripod for this. Again, it doesn't have to be anything expensive or professional if that's not financially accessible to you. You can do a lot with those little 3-leg tripods with the little bendy legs. Selfie sticks are also a great choice. Those were a huge fad a couple years back, so you probably have one just lying around your house. Why not go ahead and put that to good use? And of course, timers. You can set up the timer on your phone or use an external timer. There are many gadgets that you can buy online that pair to your phone using Bluetooth. Press the button, it takes the picture for you. If you have a smaller hand paw on your fursuit with more dexterity, you can use one of these pretty easily, or you can even hide it inside of your paw so that the remote isn't visible in the shot. And if all else fails, you can just go for the tried and true hand behind the back pose. Again, you don't need to run out and buy a whole lot of stuff. This is all about fursuiting at home with what you already have. If you don't have a tripod for your camera, for instance, you can stack up a bunch of books or some boxes and put your phone on that. There's no need to go out and buy a professional lighting setup when a well-angled desk lamp will do the trick. And you know what? Lighting honestly does a lot for good-looking photos, and often your fursuit will look different in natural and artificial light. You can play around with this, set up in front of a window, open the curtains, take a bunch of pictures, and see which you like best. If you really want to make your pictures pop, a little editing can go a long way. Perhaps your camera's not of the best quality, or maybe you took a picture that came out a little blurry. Very basic editing can help clear that up. You especially see this when taking pictures with the front-facing camera on your phone, as that's usually of a lower megapixel quality. So the pictures might be grainy or a little less clear. Many phones allow you to edit your pictures right from the camera app itself. And of course, if you're taking a picture for social media, there are so many apps that have filters and tools that you can use. Even Telegram, which you probably use if you're a furry, has photo controls that let you adjust the saturation, the gamma, the contrast, everything like that of the pictures that you're sending to make them look really, really snazzy. Now, most of us don't live in a mansion or have a whole photo studio full of props and backdrops for us to use. That's okay, this is all for fun. You can try rearranging your furniture using different camera orientations, or basically just see what you can do with what's available. There are many online tutorials and life hack style videos that show you how to do cool and creative photo tricks with what you already have at home. So how about some ideas for all these photos you'll be taking, huh? Well, let's start off with something simple and easy. You've got hobbies other than fursuiting, right? I should very well hope so. Why not go ahead and show those off to the world? If your persona, like mine, is basically just yourself, you can set up scenes that show what you like to do, or if your fursuit is more of a separate character, perhaps one that you have a world or a universe for, you can think of activities that fit with their personality or the world that they live in. So here we've got Wad, who is not only a fursuiter, but a fursuit maker, making fursuits while in fursuit. How cool is that? And Babbles the bunny here is outside doing some gardening on a bright sunny day, which is the perfect environment for a bunny to be in and something that really fits his fursuit character. Cosplaying is always super popular and also a personal favorite of mine. After all, fursuiting is just an advanced form of cosplay. We're just dressing as characters of our own creation rather than ones other people made up. And I really like combining costumes with my fursuit to help bridge the gap in people's minds between this. So here's a picture from a shoot that I did as Diva from Overwatch in her carbon fiber skin. As you can see, instead of just sitting in a chair, I set up some props, video game cases, Mountain Dew and Doritos, simple things you might have lying around the house that help flesh out this scene a little bit more. As well, we have Fangorn, who is, of course, dressed as a Jedi Knight from Star Wars, complete with a working lightsaber and some space-related paraphernalia. Very cool and very fun. Bedroom posing is a tried and true furry favorite. Also a valid option for the itty-bitty living space people. If you live in a dorm or you have roommates or anything like that, I'm pretty sure you at least have a bedroom to call your own. Things like coordinating bed sheets or stuffed animals that match your persona's species can bring a little bit more character to your photos. And whether you choose to go for sleepy, cute, or even a little bit spicy, there is a whole gamut of moods that you can convey with these types of pictures. Working from home. So here's a new fursuiting scenario that actually came to be because of the pandemic. Woohoo! If you're fortunate enough to be able to work from home, you can pop your fursuit on and snap some pictures showing what a typical day is like for you. And even if this isn't the case, if you think it would be fun or it would fit your persona, you can totally just set up a working from home set and do this anyway. It may sound silly to lay it out like this, but folks really do forget that you can just create scenarios for fun. I mean, I may not be a cheetah in real life, but I play one on the internet. Staging photos is a totally acceptable and viable option for any scenarios that your imagination can conjure. Playing with pets. Oh, this is a great one. Here we have Edward getting in some valuable pooch time with his friend Ted, and Blue with his own beloved dog, whose appearance actually inspired the look of his own fursuit. They're matching, it's so cute. The juxtaposition of real and costume animal gets so many reactions from folks online. Whatever types of animals you share your life with, be they dogs, cats, horses, ferrets, rats, even reptiles or fish or birds, you can totally use your pets to make really fun and unique co-stars for your fursuit photo shoot. However, keep in mind that animals can often react very unpredictably to people in costumes, even if they know you. So if you've never tried to do this before, take time to ensure that your pet is accustomed to your fursuit and you wearing it. You do not want a traumatized or injured pet or a damaged fursuit. Cooking is another fun photo shoot idea that ties into the hobbies that I mentioned earlier. I'm doing a staged photo here, but there are many fursuiters who can and actually do cook while in fursuit. Buttercup is an absolutely adorable fursuiter who runs a YouTube channel called Bake Me Up Buttercup. She bakes a bunch of treats in her fursuit and shares their recipes with her viewers. I recommend checking her channel out if you're interested, and I will also be touching on this topic later on. Fursuit pictures don't need to be elaborate fantasy scenes. You can just show people scenes from everyday life. This is something that doesn't require a lot of outside preparation, which makes it quite accessible to every fursuiter. Here we have Captain Julius, who is a cuttlefish, sitting down to have a picnic and eating some sushi, which is an absolutely hilarious and creative idea that plays off the species of his character. Meanwhile, Ashram is in fursuit doing laundry, and what makes it even more unusual is that he's washing and hanging up yet another fursuit. There's so much potential for creativity here, and just the fact that a big animal person is doing it can make even the most mundane task memorable and engaging for your audience. As a more specific offshoot of the previous topic, you can show people what you've been doing in quarantine. In the past few months, I've really relished, dressing down, wearing some nice comfy clothes, and relaxing with a great big cup of tea, playing some Animal Crossing on my Switch. So here I am doing just that. Finally, the tried and true selfie. No bells and whistles, no frills, just take a nice photo of yourself. Portraits like these are great for showing off different facial expressions or moods of your fursuit. And for partial fursuiters, this is great if you have a new accessory or a piece of apparel that you'd like to show off. You can utilize what you have in your environment for these. Say you're taking pictures in front of a blank wall and you want some less negative space behind you. Try to position yourself in front of a poster or a cool art piece that you may have in your home. You can frame yourself in front of that to make a more interesting shot. One thing I would like to highlight before we move on, this unprecedented situation can give us unique opportunities for fursuiting that we normally wouldn't be able to access. Many fursuiters have reservations about suiting out in public when not at a convention or other socially acceptable setting for that. This pandemic has forced a lot of people indoors, which on one hand does mean that outdoor spaces are not as populated as they used to be. So for those of you who might be more shy or hesitant about suiting outside, this could be your chance to try some new things safely. For example, here, I myself had a very unique experience last June for Pride Month. I was able to go out with a photographer friend of mine and take some pictures walking across a painted crosswalk on what would normally be a very busy intersection, but which was closed down at the time due to the pandemic. So things like that. Other fursuiter friends of mine have reported being able to go hiking or climb mountains in their fursuits to get some really breathtaking photos. Or you can go out to an abandoned place or some place that has been shut down. As long as you can do it safely and make sure that you're social distancing, this can be an opportunity to get some really cool stuff done. Please note that if you do choose to go outside for fursuiting, you must also wear a protective mask underneath your fursuit. No, a fursuit head is not a suitable substitute for a mask. Fursuit heads are built to have the best possible ventilation and airflow, which is the exact opposite of what you want in this case. A fursuit head does not have a filter, it does not prevent the spread of viral particles, and it's not even a good idea to joke about this because even in the context of humor, it spreads the idea and can lead to some uninformed people making some very uninformed decisions. Wear a mask. In addition to taking pictures, you can also do videos in your fursuit. A lot of the techniques and suggestions that I mentioned earlier for photography can be applied to videography as well. And again, a lot can be done with your own phone without the need of a camcorder or a video camera. I mentioned voice activation earlier. That, of course, goes along with video recording as well as still images. All those tips about tripods and stabilizers certainly go hand in hand for video recording as well. Editing your videos in post. You do not need paid or professional level software to do this. Videos can be edited with many social media apps if you're recording a video to post on social media. Your phone itself will likely have a video editor that supports basic editing functions, like cropping the screen, changing the lighting. Maybe you took a couple seconds at the end of the video to take off your fursuit paw to hit the button, and you need to just trim that out. You can do that right in the video app. If you have a laptop, it most likely has a webcam built right in. You can use that and utilize some of the editing tips earlier mentioned to clean up the video a little. If you don't have one of your own, you can always buy a webcam online for this purpose. I got this one last year right after the pandemic started. It was not very expensive at all, and as you can see, the video quality is pretty darn good. Also, if you don't have a webcam, you can download free software to use your phone as a webcam. This is great to keep in mind if you want to do group chats or live streaming in your fursuit, which I will talk about later on. And of course, if your videos involve you talking, you'll probably want to use an external microphone to record sound. Fursuit heads, being something big that's in front of your face, can often muffle your voice, and it'll make it harder for your audience to understand you. Some people use lapel mics or little small ones that they can put inside of the fursuit head. That helps tremendously. Or like I'm doing, you can get an external microphone on a stand, whatever is within your price range, and have that fairly close to your face to record audio while you're in fursuit. Then you can sync the audio track up to the video track in post. There are many free programs you can use, such as Audacity, that will help you adjust the audio and clear up any muffling or background noise or anything that may occur due to the fursuit head. Another option, which depends on what kind of video you're doing, is to record the audio separately, either beforehand or in post, and then edit that into the video itself. If you're going to be doing a video with a lot of talking or narration, this will probably be the way for you to go. Once again, don't focus too much on this. Your videos don't need to look or sound professional unless you're a professional streamer or you have a Patreon where people are literally paying you to make fursuit videos. This is just geared towards the hobbyist. It's something to have fun and keep active in your fursuit during the pandemic. So don't worry about being the best of the best. The most important part is that you yourself having a good time and you're proud of what you're creating. So what are some ideas for fursuit videos you can make? Short videos are very accessible and easy for folks to get right into. Skits are great. Maybe you have a cute little idea for a short story Perhaps your fursuit character is trying something new and it either goes well or it goes poorly. Maybe they're having a bad day. Fun stuff like that that you can just do a little sketch with your fursuit. Memes are obviously very popular and very easy to make videos about while in fursuit. Every day there is some new meme going around online, and if you're looking for quick and fun things to do while keeping up with the furry community, this is the way to go. Dance videos are great as well. Fursuiting is extremely popular, and fursuit dancing is a big subculture in its own right. I myself do not dance in fursuit. The world does not need to be subjected to that, let me tell you. But I have the utmost respect and admiration for those of us who do have the skill to dance in fursuit and want to share their talent and expression in this regard. If you have even the slightest inkling of dancing in fursuit, I highly recommend doing so. It's great and people love it. You can even do updates in your fursuit, talking about what's going on in your life, current events, how you're handling the pandemic, anything new and exciting that's going on. Where to post these videos depends on where you're most active and also what you would like to do with them. Twitter is a big site for furries right now. A ton of furries are on Twitter. I predominantly use it myself. It has a 2-minute and 20-second time limit for videos. You can get a lot of content into that time frame, but if you happen to go over, what you can easily do is put a clipped preview of the video on Twitter and link to the complete upload somewhere else. Instagram is another social media platform that's quite popular with furries. This one has a 1-minute limit on the video itself as a post. Instagram also has a feature called Stories, which are temporary posts that disappear after a day. These have a 15-second limit, but you can chain multiple of them together for a longer video. Twitter has a similar feature to that called Fleets, though at this time I still don't have access to them on my account, so I can't really give you much more info than that. But depending on what type of content you're making, you can utilize these to your advantage. TikTok, of course, is a very popular platform, though not one that I myself use, so I'm not super familiar with its features. I do believe it has a 1-minute limit. TikTok also has this really great thing called duets, where you can essentially make a reply video to somebody else's video. If you see somebody doing a trend and you want to participate, or you want to add something on to a funny video that somebody has made, this can give you a lot of creative opportunities to work with. TikTok also has an audio library of songs or dialogue clips from movies, even user-created audio clips. You can use those in the videos that you make on that platform and give you some more ideas. If you have more to say and do than can just be crammed into a few seconds, longer format videos will expand your content creation possibilities. I myself run a YouTube channel where I have a series called Cheetah Chat with Shetani. I talk about different topics pertaining to the furry community that interest me that I don't see other people talking about too much. You can check that out if you're interested at youtube.com/Shetani. Discussion videos and talking head style videos are quite popular. Almost everybody has knowledge or opinions that they would like to share with the community. How-tos are another thing that you can do. I mentioned Bake Me Up Buttercup earlier. She does a baking and recipe channel. If you have any talents or hobbies, things like perhaps art or playing a musical instrument, anything that you can do in fursuit to be more engaging, pretty much you can show others how to do it too. Reaction videos are a thing, doing vlogs. If you yourself aren't a very creative type, this is always an option. Though your videos don't always need to be in those formats. You can even do short films in fursuit. Perhaps your character, like I mentioned earlier, might be one that you have your own universe or world for. Or maybe there is a story that you want to be told and you choose to do that through combining the medium of video with fursuiting. There are even online furry film festivals that you can submit your video to, get it out in front of a wider audience, and even win prizes and accolades for your work. Platforms for sharing include, of course, YouTube, one of the biggest and most well-known online video sites. This will get you the largest number of views if you choose to use it. It has a 15-minute limit for regular users, longer if you are a verified user. YouTube's popularity can be both a blessing and a curse, as you'll get a very wide audience, but you don't have a lot of control over who sees your videos. So you may have some bleed over outside of the furry community that can lead to harassment and trolling and other less than desirable interactions. Vimeo is another platform for longer videos. This one does not have a length limit for uploads, so if you've got something like a feature-length fursuit film that you made, or you have a whole rant about why you like this movie and it's like 6 hours long or something, this would be the platform for that. Vimeo is also less restrictive in regards to content matching. YouTube, as anyone who uses YouTube knows, can be very militant about that. They will hit you with a copyright strike for something like a couple seconds of a song in your video. With Vimeo, you don't need to worry about that. But on the downside, it does have a smaller user base, so you may need to do a little bit more of a hustle with promoting your videos. Streaming is another thing that you can do in your fursuit while you're at home. You need to leave the house to do it. Gaming is probably one of the more common streaming activities. Folks love to stream themselves playing all sorts of video games, card games, even tabletop games. It's a great way to make new friends, and money has even been raised for charities and good causes through donation streams hosted by furries in our community. Art can also be streamed online. We furries love to commission art of our characters, as well as watch the artists at work bringing that to life right in front of your very eyes. Another Magpie Bones fursuit compatriot of mine has done art streams while in fursuit, and of course, being in fursuit while you make art can drive a lot of viewers to your stream. Q&As, AMAs, Ask Me Anythings, TMI Tuesdays, things where you interact with your online friends and followers, have them ask you questions to answer, and drive a conversation. Those are very popular as well. Many of the platforms that I've mentioned earlier support live streaming in some capacity, those including YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, as well as platforms that are specifically set up for hosting streams, like Discord for gaming, Twitch, and Picarto, which is geared towards artists. Before we transition away from videos, I would like to mention making GIFs. If you filmed a longer format video and you want to do something more with that, you can snip short clips out of those and make them into animations for easy sharing online. Here are some cute examples of things that you can do. Aries is playing and cuddling with their pet kitty cat, while Mark is giving us a very cute little lion wave. If you use Telegram or social media, you will know how popular these are for use as reaction images. And instead of searching through for the perfect one to capture the mood that you're feeling, you can just make one of your own using your fursuit. No need to pay somebody $1 billion to make you a custom Telegram sticker set. People react very well to these, and it's something more novel than just sending a generic Telegram sticker or an emoji. Public video projects are so much fun to participate in fursuit as well as host. If you're unfamiliar with the concept, in short, it's a creative project where many people come together to bring an idea to life. The host comes up with an idea, they ask their friends or put out a call on social media for participants, everyone gets their instructions or their part, make the video, send it in, and the host puts it all together. Usually you'll see this taking the form of a music video, as the format lends itself well to the concept, but there are unlimited things you can do. If you're a fursuiter looking for such videos to participate in, here are some examples of ones that I myself have taken part in, and those will perhaps give you some ideas for things you can do. Quarantine is a video where Ringer themselves is a composer. They wrote a song about what it's like to be in quarantine, and for the visual, they asked to have a bunch of submissions from fursuiters showing what they're doing. If you'd like to check out the video yourself, there is a link to Ringer's YouTube page on screen. Mask Up was another project. This was a video where fursuiters were asked to take a short clip of themselves putting on a face mask or using a face covering in some way. Topical concepts like these are very popular, and with other people submitting and contributing, you've got something more engaging than what you can do just by sitting at home by yourself. Rascal did a really cool series showcasing fursuiters from around the world. This was a monumental undertaking that they only just finished very recently. It took, I think, something like 32 weeks, and I haven't even counted all of the different countries and continents that were represented in the final video. It's an amazing showcase of all the diversity that we have here in the furry community, and again, a prime idea of the type of fursuiting that you can do without having to go out and travel. If you're looking for something a little bit more technically advanced or complex to do, you can use as an example Infernity chain reaction video. This was done by the Taiwanese furry convention Infernity. What they did was they asked people to hold up a card to the camera while not in fursuit, and then remove the card, and now they're in their fursuit. Then they would pass the card on to another viewer, and they linked everything together. It was such a cool thing. This is a little bit more of an advanced project where everyone needs to involve a prop, as well as having to coordinate the different directions that people are passing the card to each other. I know that the transition type videos are very popular on TikTok. So again, you can utilize and apply these techniques to anything that you would like to do. Group video calls are also a very engaging option. There's no reason not to do this on Fursuit if you have other people that you're comfortable suiting with on camera. Many different platforms can be used for this. Zoom is a pretty big one. Discord, as we all know, is a great platform for doing video calls with folks. Skype, I haven't actually heard of people using for video calls recently, though it does exist and thus bears mentioning. Omegle is a browser-based video chat site. You do not need to download a separate client for this, and it's also one-on-one. Telegram announced that they would begin supporting video calls. At this time, it's just one-on-one for now, but they plan to allow group video calls pretty soon. These can either be scheduled or impromptu, of course. For instance, I'm in a group on Telegram for cheetah furries, and we all get together every couple months or so. We wear our fursuits if we have them. We play trivia or games together, and it's just a really fun time. There are many groups that facilitate networking in this regard. If you, the viewer, are looking for some fursuit group video chats that you can start taking part in right now, here are a couple great servers on Discord. They have various times or schedules. You can find something that works best for yourself. And of course, don't worry about having to make it to every single meeting or even to wear a fursuit. You can just hang out and chat with people. Fuzzy Omegle Weekends is another event. This is facilitated on Twitter but takes place on the video chat website Omegle. Instead of being a group chat, this is a one-on-one thing. You get matched up with a random other fursuiter who's participating. There's no time limit. You can talk to the other person as long as you want, and you can just skip them if you want to move on to the next person. You can check out their Twitter page at Fuzzy O Weekends if you would like to learn more about the event and how to start participating. Let's not forget about online conventions. As you can see, I'm attending an online convention right now. I'm wearing my fursuit and I'm having a great time. Many other virtual furry cons are hosted in a live format with events that you can participate in using their webcam. These can include online fursuit parades and even fursuit meet and greets, like this one from Furpocalypse Online that I took part in this past fall. Dance competitions as well. There's a screenshot from the Anthrocon online dance comp back in July. They will usually take pre-recorded submissions beforehand for the fursuit type things, though I do know that some VR chat cons have done actual live dance competitions with the use of body tracking technology. Costume contests are also a thing. There you can see Temperance doing a cosplay of a Khajiit from Elder Scrolls. No, that is not a game screenshot. That is an honest-to-goodness fursuit right there. And that was entered into the Cosplay Central costume competition. So don't forget to expand your horizons. You can look for comic conventions, anime conventions, brony conventions, any sort of nerd fandom event. A lot of those cons are also moving onto the online platform, so there are a ton of opportunities. You don't have to limit yourself to just furry cons. So you recorded a whole bunch of videos of yourself in your fursuit. Where do you want to share it? Why, where the furries are, of course. And in this day and age, that means pretty much anywhere online, though here are some great examples of sites that many furries frequent. So it can be hard to motivate yourself to keep fursuiting in this pandemic. We're doing as much as we can, but in the end, you're still isolated at home and you can't go out to meet up with friends. It can take a lot to go through the effort of suiting up just to do a couple little fun things for your social media. Try to motivate yourself to stay active by sticking to a schedule. You can say, like, I'm going to post every Friday, or I'm going to post once a month at least. You can use certain hashtag trends online, things like Fursuit Friday that are super popular, and even tags set for a certain fursuit maker. These are great tools to just kind of motivate yourself to keep posting on a regular basis. Also, I mentioned earlier some groups that meet up and do virtual webcam fursuit chats. These are great things that you can do to help keep yourself in the habit of suiting. But it's very important to know your own limits and only do what you feel comfortable with. If you're not feeling it one day, it's okay to skip a previous engagement or something of that nature. Take care of yourself first and foremost. Take care of your physical and mental health. If you're not in the right mindset to fursuit, if it starts feeling more like a chore than a fun hobby, that's when you know that you need to take a sec, step back, recollect yourself, and return to the hobby when you feel in the right mindset to do so. Why even bother fursuiting in quarantine? There are a ton of great reasons. First of all, maintenance of your fursuit. If we don't have events to wear our fursuits to, the maintenance aspect can kind of fall by the wayside, and it's not great for the suit to be left in a box or container for very long. Wearing the suit will require you to maintain it afterwards. You'll have to go through and brush out knots from the suit, you'll have to wash it, disinfect it, and in doing so, this is when you'll notice things like seams that are popped or holes that need to be repaired. Anything that you need to do to keep your suit in peak condition for when we can go out to see each other again. Suiting keeps you and your character in the public eye. If you don't post a lot on social media, people are going to start wondering what happened to you. Also, if your interaction with the furry community is more of a business one, perhaps you are a furry artist or a fursuit maker, and you have a fursuit that acts more like a mascot for your business, posting will help keep you in the public eye in that regard and drive more traffic in because, of course, you know, your income and your livelihood depends on it, especially during these pandemic times. Even during this situation when we're all stuck inside, there's only so much that we can do. Human beings need social interaction. Fursuiting is a great avenue for that. And though we cannot do it in person, we can still communicate with each other online and, in part, fulfill that social need. And finally, wearing your fursuit is something that makes you happy. During times like this, it's very important to keep up with hobbies and interests and things that make us happy. Suiting is going to make you feel better, improve your mood, and promote positivity. Remember that the most important person for you to be suiting for is yourself. So at this point, I would like to open up the floor to questions. If you have any sort of questions, comments, observations, things that I didn't mention, things that you would like a little bit more clarification on, I'm going to be looking into the Twitch chat right about now, and I would be very happy to answer any questions that you folks might have. There is going to be a little bit of a delay with the broadcast, but you can go right ahead, start putting your questions in the chat, and I'm going to take a look and see what we have here. All right, so Razzie Dazzle says, do you have any interesting experiences from taking photos? Most of the photo shoots that I do myself are at home. I'm not a fursuiter that does the whole public interaction thing. I don't like to, go out and interact with people in suit, though I have, of course, taken some photos outside, and in public places, you're going to interact with people in that regard. Honestly, because my suit is kind of more understated than some of the other suits that you might see in the community, people don't really notice me from a distance. So, like, if someone's coming closer to me, they'll like get startled when they realize, oh, that's not a person, that's some kind of cat lady, and it's like, it's pretty cool. Kids aren't usually too interested in the fursuit, but I'm perfectly fine with that. It's really funny to hear all of the different things that people will call me. People who aren't furries really just don't know their animal species. I remember one time I was taking a photo shoot out in a park, and this little old lady comes passing by me with like her granddaughter or something, and she goes, "Oh, lion!" And it was just, I couldn't even be mad because she was just so cute about it. Let's see. Midnight Wolf asks, what was your memorable photo shoot that you have done at home or at a convention? I've done a lot of shoots over the years. I think my most memorable at home one was the Diva one that I mentioned earlier, Diva from Overwatch, because I put a lot of effort into really sort of creating like what you would see in a professional photo shoot setting for that. Like, I took time to get props and set them up and really try to make something at home that I could be proud of. My favorite convention photo shoot, I've done a couple great shoots at Anthro New England in Boston. The last year that I attended that con, I was able to go outside. What they do is they do a group fursuit photo, and then everybody goes out to the park that's across the street from the convention. The last year that I attended, it was frosted over. There was still some snow outside, and like the lake was frozen. And I hooked up with a photographer friend, and we got some really great pictures outdoors that were just super, super cool looking. Because it was so cold out, my breath was coming out and fogging up my glasses. So, like, the pictures looked even more realistic and even more dynamic. And I was just really pleased with how that photo shoot came out. Zephyr! Hi, Zephyr! Zephyr says, any tips for fursuit photo shoots at the beach? Well, I personally would love to fursuit at the beach, though I have not yet had a chance to do so. I've seen a lot of folks do beach photo shoots online. I would say that one thing to know before you go out to do a beach photo shoot is to be aware of how your fursuit needs to be washed, specifically the feet paws. Some people can put their feet paws in a washing machine, others need to be hand washed. So take that into consideration when planning out what you're going to do. Obviously, when you're suiting at the beach, the sand and the ocean salty water are elements that you will not normally see in a fursuiting situation. So you're going to want to make sure that you either protect your fursuit paws from that, either you're wearing fursuit sandals, or some people will just wear shoes or even go barefoot in that situation. Maybe if you want to get some like calmer photos, you can lay down a towel so that you can just be completely on the towel while in your fursuit and it won't come in contact with the water or the sand. Other people, they are totally okay with cleaning their fursuit and they can just run around and make a whole mess because they know that, it'll come right out in the wash afterwards. So it really depends. But yeah, the sand and the salt water are things that you will need to pay attention to in that regard. Zen Garden says, every social media I post on, I get no views on videos or photos. I've been shadow banned for a while, and none of my followers see my videos. Is there another way I could post and get things seen? Well, without knowing what website in particular it is that you're posting on, I can say that one thing you can do is take advantage of those hashtags that I mentioned earlier. You can use Fursuit Friday, which is a big one on social media that most people know about, and I believe it's even been trending on Twitter a couple weeks in the past. You can also use hashtags like, just fursuit or fursuting. If your fursuit was not made by yourself, if somebody else made your fursuit, you can tag them in your social media posts, which can help with the promotion a little bit. Also, you can join chats on Telegram or Discord for fursuiters, where people will post their stuff on a regular basis, and it's like the community will help retweet or reblog, reshare whatever platform it is that you're on, essentially boosting the posts of other people to get some more engagement in that regard. I'm fortunate enough that I just do this as a hobby. I don't have to rely on, getting social media views for my income. So I just do this as more of a fun thing for myself. Razzie Dazzle asks, is there a good time to post a photo on a certain day or time? That's a great question. Many of the apps like Twitter and Instagram have functions for seeing when your audience is most engaged. I know on Instagram, if you set yourself to a business account or a creator account, you'll get access to a lot of developer tools that will show you things like how many people are seeing your posts, how many people are sharing them, even what time of day the people are active or what country in the world, because you have to take time zones into effect. Twitter as well, I believe it's called Studio. It's like a subset of Twitter that you can go to that will show when the people who are accessing your posts are more active. So again, it depends on where you live, but pay attention to your specific time zones. And in general, I think during the week, in like the evening is a good time to be posting, like after people get home from work and they're going online. Personally, I have found that posts don't get very much attention on the weekends, which you might think to be the opposite. However, my assumption is that on the weekend people are out or they're having fun or whatever, and they're not on social media all the time. But again, these are things that you can do some more research into yourself. Midnight Wolf asks, what do you find the most rewarding when doing a fursuit photo shoot? The most rewarding part of it for me would have to be just seeing the idea that I have, created in my head and spent so much time fleshing the details out, seeing that actually come to life and being able to share it, with all of my friends. It's no longer something inside my head. It's out there on paper or the screen in this case, and other people can finally, recognize it in that regard. I'm not an artist. I don't draw or anything of that nature. This is my artistic expression, and the way that I contribute that to the furry community at large. So it's just really rewarding, when people say things like, oh, what a great picture, I loved your costume, and it's like a costume that I spent a long time putting together. Or if someone's like, oh, I love how your hair looks in this one, it's very rewarding to feel all of that effort that I put into it being recognized. AMR says, I'm a fursuit maker, not yet planning to do commissions, but just my OCs. I use TikTok and don't mind to make videos of my work in progress fursuits that I'm making. However, what other ways do you suggest I use social medias to post content of my work in progress fursuits? I'm not a fursuit maker myself. My fursuit was made by Magpie Bones 7 years ago. So regarding the fursuit making aspect of it, I don't have any specific advice for that. However, for posting online, the best advice that I can give is just post in a ton of different places. Earlier, I had a list of many websites that you can post on: Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, Facebook, Mastodon, Weasel. If you're in any Discord chats for specifically fursuit makers or Telegram chats for specifically fursuit makers, it's getting eyes on your work is really difficult sometimes, and it does not have as much to do with you doing it the wrong way, so to speak, as it is to just you have to keep doing it and you have to keep posting. Spreading your avenues out. Like you said, you post on TikTok. That's great. Maybe in addition to TikTok, you can add on one or two other social media sites that you'll also post on. People are on different websites. For example, I'm on Twitter all day, but I don't use TikTok. I know there are so many furries on TikTok, but that part of the community I simply do not interact with. So by spreading out to different avenues in that regard, you can expand the possibilities of the audience who will be subjected and exposed to your work. Paul Lover says your fursuit and setup is so awesome. Thank you so much. I started doing these online conventions in summer of 2020, and I've been having a great time with it so far. You know, I've kind of I always try to present myself, you know, a little bit more professionally, and like I mentioned earlier, I take a great pride in the work that I do, whether that be first pictures or even presenting in that regard, so thank you so much. So at this point, I am going to begin wrapping it up, I believe. If you have any more questions, comments, observations, feel free to contact me online. Thank you so much for attending my panel. You can follow me on Twitter. My handle is @ShetaniCheetah. I'm on Instagram under the same name. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/Shetani. Like I mentioned earlier, I will have a recording of this video online in the coming weeks, so you can go back and rewatch it and send it to your friends who may have missed it. If you'd like to learn more about me, my fursuit, what I do, yada yada yada, I do have a homepage you can check out. And if you enjoyed the panel and you would like to show your support, you can check out my Ko-fi page. I have ko-fi.com/Shetani, where you can, you know, send me a little tip and maybe even spot me a cup of tea or two. So thank you all so much for coming to the panel. It's been a great time. Have fun, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of the convention. Take care, everybody.